But the other big story on 8 p.m, yet another day of the winter session, completely washed out. Similar scenes from the last few days. Protests, people running to the well of the House, sloganeering against the government, asking for an apology from the Prime Minister. Just a week more of Parliament to work, and there is no indication that this logjam will end. Such is the situation that today one of the senior most politicians in the Lok Sabh was driven to a point where he said that if Parliament has to function, maybe it's time to penalise those who are holding up its proceedings.
Day after day after day. For the last 16 days, the loss to the exchequer aside, precious Parliament business is at a standstill. The criminal waste prompting BJP patriarch and veteran politician Advani to lash out at both sides, questioning whether the Parliamentary Affairs Minister and Speaker are interested in making the House function at all. And for the disruptive opposition, he had a simple solution: remove them from the House or make them pay for it, literally by deducting their salary. But far from being chastised, the opposition continued with its tutu meme.
I think it's time that the government comes up with a new scheme. Forget the Aadhaar card, give us the Udhar card and let us run our lives and business, please, before there's more unemployment and more bhook hartals across the country.
This exercise has nothing to do with black money, but it has in the process destroyed the informal sector. We have lost 120 precious Indian lives, and it is going to have a very debilitating effect on the economy for the next 7-8 months.
एक महीना और पूरा देश जो है वो लाइन में खड़ा है. कोई पार्लियामेंट्री मिनिस्टर या कोई सरकार की तरफ से पहल ही नहीं कि सदन कैसे चले.
स्लोगन्स जो है ये ड्राफ्टेड नहीं है, बल्कि दिल की आवाज़ है. क्या मोदी जी की समझ में नहीं आ रहा? क्या बीजेपी की समझ में नहीं आ रहा कि हाउस का एक सदस्य जो है वो बोल रहा है, अगर हाउस में बोल रहा है तो वो गलत तो नहीं बोल रहा हो?
The face-off is only set to intensify. The opposition has planned a black band protest outside Parliament tomorrow on the completion of 1 month of demonetization. And the government is in no mood to back off, with the PM telling all party MPs to counter each attack of the opposition in equal measure.
Alright, so whose responsibility is it to make Parliament function? Siddharth Nath Singh, National Secretary and spokesperson of the BJP, Pawan Verma of the JDU and Sanjay Jha of the Congress. Let me ask you first, Mr. Verma, how is Parliament going to function? Do you think that the formula suggested by Mr. Advani today is the best one? Anyone who disrupts the proceedings, remove them from the House, penalise them.
You know, I believe that the bottom line is that Parliament has to function. Its non-functioning today has crossed all acceptable parameters. The nation is watching, the people are watching, and there is a sense that the daily disruption of Parliament is today unacceptable. I have said before, and I want to repeat, Padmaja, that there is not a single day when the House of Commons has been adjourned, and soon we'll set the record that there is not a single day when our Parliament is not adjourned. Every day it's adjourned, and I think both the treasury benches and the opposition have to take into account that the message to the people is that the Parliament's non-functioning is a reflection on the functioning of Parliament itself.
And yet, Mr. Jha, is the Congress not getting the message?
The BJP is in no position to sermonize.
Start the business.
So I want to say to you that the BJP used to repeat ad nauseum that it is the responsibility of the treasury benches. When it was in the opposition, the BJP used to say it's the responsibility of the treasury benches to ensure that Parliament functions. I think the first mistake was the Prime Minister standing on prestige on not attending the House.
Okay.
But I must add, and I must say this honestly, that once the leader of the House gave the commitment that the Prime Minister will participate in the debate, I don't believe, even from the point of strategy, it is wise for the opposition to continue to disrupt the House.
All right, Sanjay Jha.
Reflect whatever they need to say on the floor of the House and have a debate.
Will you please start the debate now, Mr. Jha? It's enough. You've had enough time to make a point. You've done your black armband protests. You've walked on the streets. You stood in ATM lines. You stood outside the Gandhi statue. Now let the debate happen.
Padmaja, right now we are headed towards a virtual financial emergency in India. The economy is hemorrhaging. There are some serious implications on the rural economy. You know, there are serious economists who have forecasted a slump in the GDP. We are talking about critical fault lines at the moment, not just in the economy, but the way this government is practicing governance.
Okay, I give you all of
I
that.
agree with Pawan on that.
But pray tell me
Is
how not letting Parliament function is going to solve any of those problems.
Well, I'll give you two examples. The very fact that today you have a seasoned veteran parliamentarian from the Bharatiya Janata Party accusing the government itself, whether it's a speaker, whether it's the parliamentary affairs minister, for not ensuring that legislation and deliberative discussions happen, is a manifestation of how seriously this government has failed in debating.
But Mr. Jha, you are parsing what Mr. Advani said. You are conveniently forgetting what he said about the opposition. You are only concentrating what he said about the speaker and the parliamentary affairs minister.
I'm answering you. No, Padmaja, let me explain to you. Mr. Narendra Modi, in a democracy, as a Prime Minister, should know that Parliament is sacrosanct. I mean, this is the institution whose status needs to be upheld at all times. He has enough time to make a comment on note ban, on a rock concert which was held in Mumbai, which was a typical, very urban, glitzy affair.
It was a video, it was a video message. Come on.
To actually make a wisecrack. But it doesn't have time for Parliament.
Okay, I will let Siddharth Nath Singh answer that. Siddharth Nath
Singh,
Singh,
you the contempt that
is it a matter of prestige that you are not going to accept what the opposition is demanding, come what may, even if it means the entire session is a washout?
Well, Pankaja, you tried from the Congress spokesperson to answer your question, and none of the questions they had answered, and that's exactly which leads to the Parliament being stalled by the Congress, particularly because they don't have any answers in favor of their argument that demonetization is hurting the economy or it's a bad decision. Now, putting all those things together, which the Congress feels very strongly and the opposition feels very strongly, is a place where they should be cornering the government. What better place you can get? But you cannot be changing the goalpost. From day one you have changed goalpost. Never it was mentioned before when we have all party meeting, it was never mentioned that the Prime Minister has to participate. They never said that the Prime Minister has to sit through the debate. All these conditions were brought subsequently when they realized on the first day of the Rajya Sabha functioning that the opposition is losing out.
And Sanjay Jha, today the finance minister has said, I challenge you to start a debate. A debate has even started inside the Rajya Sabha, and then there will be interventions made. Take them up on that challenge.
Padmaja, Padmaja, is extraordinary that the BJP spokesperson says, you know what, it was never discussed that the Prime Minister should speak. Well, my dear friend, the Prime Minister makes an unprecedented dramatic speech on November 8th telling the country that black money will be obliterated with this great historic decision. The truth is, how can he come out there and make a statement to 130 crore people of the country and then say, you know what, I'm not obligated to come to Parliament because we have not really discussed that. It goes to show that Mr. Modi is either very, very scared of facing some home truths. He has to acknowledge publicly what are the failures, what were the political objectives.
But Mr. Jha, he was in Parliament, and instead of pinning him down and questioning him, you let him go.
Mr. Jha, you are going to debate in the Parliament and put your point across, or you are going
to be not letting him go
Modi unnecessarily when you don't have any points to accuse him. But I'm sorry, you people are squarely responsible for not allowing the Parliament to function because you want to change the goalpost.
You will get answered by the people.
You don't have any merit. You don't even understand how the RBI functions. I have faced one of your senior leaders. I don't want to take his name.
Let me tell you, considering that today, Mr. Siddharth Nath Singh, the Revenue Secretary of the Government of India today has said that the cash is coming back into the system, in which case there may be no black money.
Okay, Pawan Verma, let me ask you this. When the Prime Minister did come inside Parliament, why wasn't he questioned? Doesn't that give rise to doubts about what really the intention of these protests are?
I'll say, very simply put, Padmaja, I am truly mystified why the Prime Minister did not lead from the front having taken ownership of the demonetization issue by being the one who announced it on national television, I believe the best practices of parliamentary democracy required him on day one to be present in the debate. His absence, in my view, is a breach of all practices of parliamentary democracy, even if it does not breach a parliamentary rule. Now, given that, I think the opposition rightly, when he did not show up in parliament, disrupted parliament, although I am against disruptions. But once the leader of the house assured the house that he would participate in the debate and answer at the end of the debate, I believe all the points that Mr. Sanjay Jha, my good friend Sanjay Jha, is making and other opposition parties need to make if they believe in them, can be made most effectively on the floor of the house. It does not do justice to the institution of parliamentary democracy to have a parliament which does not function, and this tit for tat strategy must be short-circuited. I believe that. And the BJP is to be blamed for setting a record for the maximum amount of continuous disruption. But the fact that they did it does not mean that we continue to allow this vicious cycle to run. This is the simple truth.
Sanjay Jha.
Well, Padmaja, let me tell you that even the BJP insiders will tell you that Mr. Modi was principally the factor. He was the X factor for the BJP who tried to take the complete credit for what he believed was a surgical strike against black money, which has proved to be complete hogwash. Now, the truth is, Mr. Modi is the Prime Minister. He can't escape media and public scrutiny.
Sanjay Jha, is this an attempt to show down the Prime Minister?
Opposition members in Parliament
to basically claim that we made him come to Parliament and apologize. Is this all boiling down to that? I have the last 10 seconds. Just answer me that.
Well, let me tell you, I'm not getting into apology, but I think that the public of India will answer him when the elections come.
All right, so if India is going to answer him, then why aren't you letting Parliament function?
He needs to tell Parliament as to what was the steps that he took to ensure that the common man will not be inconvenienced.
Well, he would possibly be able to tell Parliament if only Parliament was allowed to function. I'm afraid I'm completely out of time, gentlemen. We had that bit of breaking news right at the top of 8 p.m. But we're going to see what happens in Parliament tomorrow as well. For now, thank you very much for having taken out time. Siddharth Nath Singh, Pawan Verma and Sanjay Jha.